Okay, so we've pressed the fast forward button here. It's been probably quite some time since I talked with you guys last. I think we had just hit top of climb. So we're passing over Wichita's VOR right now. We still have 1,145 miles to go. You can see our fuel has come up. We were originally at I think like 6.3 remaining. Now we're up to 7.7. Now during this, we had a step climb according to the sim brief. So we're going to go from 350 to 370. And that was at waypoint Dosoa, crossing the Bravo Uniform Mike at 370. So what I did, I went down here to the, click on the, here, I'll pull this up here actually. Go back to where we were, which is in progress. So if you go to the fix page, I typed in the waypoint and it puts this dot on there. Gives us our bearing and distance from. So I use that just as a reminder. If I have a step climb, I'll put it on there and it'll draw this green ring or icon around it. Now on the Zibo 737, you can actually do like slashes and 5 around a waypoint or something, and it'll draw the circles on it. This either doesn't, or I don't know how to configure it to do so. But anyway, we're still 86 miles from there. I'm going to clear, ready to delete. There we go. Delete that one. We're 84 miles from it. I'll go ahead and set this for 370. And then when we get closer, all we'll have to do is do our VNAV, and it'll climb to flight level 370, which is where we'll be at for the remainder of our cruise. So while we're waiting for our step climb, I wanted to just pull this up. There's a website I found doing some flight, I think around Australia or whatever, but windy.com. It's kind of cool. You can just go there and you can actually just punch in airports and it'll pull up information, your METARs as well. And you can click on these little icons, it'll show you different whatever temperatures, cloud, I mean you guys can read. So it'll show you whatever you want to look at, and then you have the METAR right here and then your area forecast. So the winds have died down a little bit from when we departed. When we departed, I looked, we were showing gusts of 31, although it kind of also looks like it might be back around there anyway. So, but you can zoom in. It actually shows once you get down there the airport layout, and kind of a neat little website. So I have several apps, NOAA weather and a couple other ones that I've picked out. I think I got like 3 or 4 apps. Of course, the aviationweather.gov website is really good as well. But this one's kind of quick and easy, and then you can click on it, and the visuals are pretty neat. So anyway, I figured I'd just share that a little bit with you guys. And it looks like we've got about 2 minutes until our step climb. So we are still cruising along here. I probably should have picked a shorter flight for this first video. My luck, it's probably going to have a whole bunch of stuff in it that I'd like to edit out. So hopefully I haven't shot myself in the foot. On the plus side, I guess it's still about 4 hours to go in the logbook. So look at it from that way, at least it's not a total loss. Hours are hours, as they say. Oh, I did also reset the field elevation here. So the landing altitude in JFK was like 10 feet. So, sorry, I think it was 13 feet. So I set it for 10, that's the closest. In the 757, you can actually go in 10-foot increments. I believe on the SIBO 738 or default 738 and X-Plane 11, I think it rolls in 50-foot increments. So, all right, here we are. Did we pass it? Yep, we passed it. Okay, so we're going to go to VNAV. I think. Maybe we'll just go to Filch. I might have had to push this and then select VNAV. That might have been why. It's worked before. I'm sure whatever happened right there was something I did. So hopefully we'll get up here to 370. We'll cross bum ahead of us. We'll take a fuel number and then I'll update you with our status there. Our fuel condition is improving, so as usual, you tend to burn a little more either on taxi or climb. In this one, I do have a very slight correction factor. I normally fly 757 with the Rolls Royces, so I think it's only a 1% correction applied to that. So the Pratt's maybe a little bit different with that engine layout. So I may need to do a separate sim brief with the Pratt & Whitney engine 757. All right, 500 feet to go. Just spin this back down for the time being. Oh, I know why it didn't climb. I didn't change the cruise level in here. That's it. Because you want to do it once your altitude bug, and then you want to do it here. And then that's why when I did VNAV, it didn't move. So, and I think that's also why it didn't go, or why it's in speed mode here. Cruise. Progress, and let's see if I can do that. Yeah, there we go. So it's holding back the VNAV. So that's what it was. I didn't change the altitude down in the FMC. So as you can see, the way to override that was to do the flight level change. But I did have this originally set for flight level 350, which was our initial cruise altitude. So when you have a step, remember to do it up on the mode control panel and on the FMC. I think there's a third place you want to verify it too. It might be in here. Some 757s have a different layout. You can choose in here in the settings what info it adds. That config warning was for a different notification, so that wasn't related to the sim here, if you guys were able to hear that. But I think it's in your avionics in here. You have the modern, you can get rid of GPS, fuel flow display. I have that off. I don't know if that puts it here or not. But anyway. Okay, crossing bum. Just crossed the bum, but whatever. So we have 21.3 on board, and 22.8 is what we should have. So we're down 1.5. Now our flight plan is showing. The flight plan is actually showing a decrease in Mach speed. We should be at about 0.5. Let me pause that. Let me go consult with our manual. I think we're okay at 7.7, but that could be why we're burning more fuel. So I'll be right back. Okay, guys. So I consulted with our ops manual, and they show the standard cruise speed for this is 0.8. You're allowed to go plus or minus zero point 0.2 of that, 0.02 of that. So I'm actually under speed right now, which is slightly concerning because I'm burning a little bit more fuel than I should. And according to my flight plan here, I should be at like 0.75. So that could have been for the low cost index. Anyway, in order to comply with company policy, I am going to go ahead and kick it up. So I'm going to come down here, go to our cruise and do, let's see, do 0.78. So 0.78. We are at our optimum cruise, so that's good. You can hear it throttling up a little bit there. We'll run our range out here so it's a little further ahead. Just change the range here. So it is climbing. When you file the flight plan, our company policy is you use the highest speed achieved. So I will use 0.78 on this. I'm really afraid to push it much more than that because I overlooked on the flight plan the cruise speed. So I think with that low cost index, it had the low cruise speed, but I've got to do that 0.8 plus or minus the 0.02. If we do that incorrectly, depending on what it is and how often it happens, the management or moderators that run the group, they'll return it, and sometimes, depending on what the error is, you may be able to correct it. But generally, when you file it, it's a double check and then submit it. So I've had flights rejected because I flew a 737-800 and I forgot to double check the actual route, and the route was for a 700. So I did the flight in the 800, filed it, sent it, and even though they're both 737s, that was not the flight flown on that day. So, you lose a couple flight hours here and there. So it might be strict. I guess everyone has their own individual points of view on it, but I like the airline. I mean, we've got, just off the top of my head, we have Delta, Southwest, Lufthansa, Cathay Pacific, JAL, my gosh, I don't even know. I'd really have to pull it up and look at it. But there's so many there's so many airlines that we have where you can fly. They're the core airlines, so you can fly any route from those. Then we have affiliate routes. So those might be, Iceland's another one actually, now that I can think of it. But then you have affiliates, so you can fly those routes as well. Then in addition to that, you have our alliances. So Sky Team or Star Alliance, I think there's one other one. You can do those routes too, but the difference with the alliance is they have to be to or from a hub. So for example, if you're flying an American is an alliance member, so you might not be able to do every American route, but Phoenix, where we're flying from now, is a hub. Miami is a hub. I think it was DFW is a hub. So you can fly any route to or from, so long as they end or begin at that hub location. And then that goes for several other of the airlines that we have within the group. So there's a lot of flying out there, from bigger and smaller ones. Air Canada, or another one, WestJet. In Europe, we have Lufthansa, Austria, British Airways. I know Aeroflot is a alliance member as well, and for them, the flights have to either depart or arrive in Moscow, and that can be the Moscow city area, or so it can be, or is it Nukovo? What's the other one? It's UUEE. Anyway, there's like 3 or 4 that are right around Moscow, and as long as the flight, departs from or arrives to one of those, you're good to go on the flights. So that's one nice thing about the airline is you have the choice to go between those. I tend to bounce. Sometimes I'll spend a lot of time doing U.S. stuff. Other times I'll spend time flying a Pacific route. I had one day, I think it was shortly after I got my 767, the Flight Factor 767. I did Seattle. I think I actually went on Flight Radar and I looked at a tail number of an airplane or something like that, and I just did its route. So it happened to be Seattle to Narita, Manila. I think it came back to Narita, then went to Singapore, then came back to Narita, then back to Seattle. So I did that way. You can kind of make your own, you can look it up and do a tail number. Or I know Southwest, I think they share flight numbers. So, Southwest 123 might start in Baltimore and end up in LA with 2 or 3 stops. So you could sit there and fly that flight and do it as well. So the one thing that I find difficult is it's almost harder to figure out what flight you want to fly because you have so much to choose from than it is for, I've seen some other virtual airlines where wherever you end up, you have to depart there. Our company or RVA does not have that same policy. You could fly, we're flying to JFK now. The next flight I pick up, if I want to, I could do, and we're in the 750, 7200. The next flight, I could fly a Dash 8 out of Vienna to wherever, and then the next day after that, I could hop in my A320 and fly, well, I don't know if Qantas has, Qantas, that's another airline. I don't know if they have A320s, but I think AirAsia, or Virgin, we have them as well. So I could fly an A320 or hop over and fly a Melbourne to Sydney route in a 737. We're not tied down. We can jump and bounce to whatever flight we want to do. So we have a lot of freedom within the airline for that. Anyway, guys, sorry, gone on down that path. So we'll do another quick check. We're supposed to be at kilo 54 kilo with 18.5 in the tank. And I'm showing 20.4, so we're almost at 2,000 pounds or 1 ton extra fuel. We're still showing JFK with 7.9, so that's okay. The weather in JFK is gusty but good, so I don't think we'll have any issues. We're not on VATSIM, so I don't anticipate any holds or anything, so I think we'll be fine. Anyway, there's our progress update, and I'll check in with you guys a little later. See you then. So here we are at JFK. I have to apologize. The approach, descent, landing, and taxi in phase didn't go too well. The video locked up at our daytime and our final cruise altitude of flight level 370. I'm actually recording this a few days afterward. So I guess I'll summarize our flight. Our flight time was, or our block time was 4.3 hours. So, what's that, 4 hours and 18 minutes, which we predicted around 4 hours to start with. We burned 13.6 tons of fuel. We arrived at our gate at 7:19 local JFK time. The scheduled arrival for that day was 7:38, so we were nearly 20 minutes early. And just for comparison, the real world flight landed at 6:50, so I don't know what time it hit the gate. So they were able to take advantage of those good tailwinds that we had and actually beat us a little bit. Anyway, hopefully you've made it this far. Again, I apologize for not including the approach and landing phase. I'll have to look into or experiment or see if it happens again, why that occurred. But I'd like to thank you for sticking with us. Hope you enjoyed this flight. Uh, it'll be broken into 3 segments, I think, by the time you watch this. So hopefully you'll come back again, enjoy future content. Please leave comments, good or bad, in the comment section. Give us some feedback, know how we can develop and move the channel. And remember, plan the flight and fly the plan. We hope to see you again soon.